Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video tutorial, we'll be learning how to make a Basque corset. Thank you for watching my video. If you are a returning subscriber, don't forget to like the video and then give us your comments in the comment section below. And if you are just new watching this video, do well to subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. So we'll be needing our basic bodies to achieve this. We have our standard 3x3 neckline and my armhole, which I have gotten here. So I'm going now to write my chest line, my bust points, my under bust, and my half length. Take notes. Having this using this your basic pattern to get your corset helps a lot. It helps to adjust and readjust. It helps to rectify a lot of things. Even if you wouldn't need the up parts, that is mostly if it is an off shoulder or the rest. When you have your complete basic bodies, it would help you to know exactly what you are working on. And if you want to use yoke, it will be advantageous later on. And if you do not want yoke, you do well to cut it off. So this is what I need. It's for a busty person, so to say, because our bust is 42 and our under bust is 34. So a huge difference of 8 inches is what we'll be needing for this corset top. So I'll go about now to get my nipple distance, that is my nipple to nipple point. And my nipple to nipple point is 8 inches, which I'll be marking now. Please take note that there is no standard nipple to nipple point. What works for A would not work for B. So me having 8 inches as my nipple to nipple point doesn't mean that all my clients would be using 8. We have some persons that their nipple distance could be 6, it could be 7, it could be 9, it could be 10. So having the accurate measurements would help us to get an accurate fitting of this corset that we are trying to make. So I've gotten my nipple to nipple point, the line now. I want to go about to mark the dart line. I'll be using 2 inches difference for the darts. That is 1 inch to the left and then 1 inch to the right. That is 2 inches. So I'm marking it now. So I've already done my markings, as you can see from my table. I've done my markings. So I'll be connecting it to my bust point with my ruler. I'll be connecting it with my bust point with my ruler. As you can see me do, I'm trying to make sure it should be straight enough. There wouldn't be any contour or whatever. That is why I'm taking my time to get an accurate result. So after doing this, the next thing for me to do is to connect it to my blouse length. Is to connect it to the end of my blouse length, rather my full length, as you can see. So this is it. Now after that, the next thing for me is to try and get the bust point. I'll be trying to get the bust points. Take notes when you want to get the bust points. Just as I said, there is no standard measurement for the nipple distance. The same thing applies to the bust points. There is no standard measurement for the bust point. For the distance for the bust points, I'll be using 2 inches here, and that is because the difference between the person's front and back is 2 inches. That's why I'll be using 2 inches. For some persons, the distance could be 1 inch and the distance could be 3 inches for some persons. So what works for you, depending on the measurement, is what you should use. Take note, some persons do well to take just 2 inches from the bust point downward, or some persons will decide to have it 1 inch up, 1 inch down for that bust point region. Anyone you do is fine. The most important thing is taking the bust point out of it because it helps contour the under bust and both the up bust very well. After doing that, you trying to get your cup now. You are trying to get your cup. Take note, please, while trying to get your cup, you'll be starting from the end of your dart. The end of your dart. So since you've taken 1 inch from that your dart, that is where you'll be drawing your cup from. And the other part too, that is where you'll be drawing your cup from. Please take note of that. The next thing is the distance from here, from the middle. I'll be using 1 inch, 1 inch from the middle. That is half an inch because it is folded in two. Please do not forget that because it is folded in two. So this is me now. I am about to draw my cup. I'm about to draw my cup. You can watch how I'll be drawing the cup. You can try and be careful when drawing this because it can it can cause a little bit issue sometimes if it is not drawn properly. So this is it here. Remember what I said, it's not starting from the nipple to nipple point alone, but after the that side, which I did. So for this part too, the distance is in the bust point, as I mentioned, is 8 inches. So you can do well to use 8 inches, and you can do well to just add a little bit. You can do well to add a little bit, which I did. I used 8.5 inches. I used 8.5 inches. Since I've taken half inch from that part, it is now 3.5, then the remaining 5 inches for this. So that is what I used. Since the distance is 8, you can use 8, you can use 8.5, but I always like to use that exact one. I don't like using smaller than that because if I use it smaller than that, you might not get it round. It might not pack the bust properly. So this is me trying to give a little bit altering in that cup side because it looked like it wouldn't be perfect enough. The next for me to do is to get my up bust. I haven't gotten my up bust then, so I want to contour the up bust. Take note, as I mentioned earlier, the person's measurement determines what you will be removing. There is also no standard as to getting the up bust. Here I removed I used 0.75 inches to the left and 0.575 inches to the right. If you wish, you can decide to remove 1 inch as well, the same way you removed from the dart, and you could decide to use 0.5 inches to the left and right. The measurement determines what you would use. Please take note of that. Now I'm trying to get my basque from my full length. I'm connecting it to my half length to get the V. Can you see? So this is what I need, which I have gotten. So you do well to cut it out. So this is the V neck. This is the V part here rather. Now I'll go ahead to fold my bust point. Sorry, I mean I'll go ahead to then give it shapings rather. So the way I like shaping is, since I've removed my dart line, I'm having 3 inches. So I took the 3 inches to the other side, as you can watch me do from the paper, because my underbust is 34. I've done that. The same thing applies here. Please watch critically. Yes, so I've gotten my shaping here. Now it's for me to connect it straight to my bust. Now after doing that, depending on how you want your neck to be, if you want it a sweetheart neckline, if you want it to be V line or thereabouts, you try to get the shape at which you want your neck to be. So that is the next thing. I'm just going to descend by half an inch and get a little curve. I don't want too much curve, so that's why I descended by half an inch. Get a little curve, which you can see, and then it went a little bit higher towards my armhole region. So depending on the style of your client, you would know exactly how you can get the neckline. Depends on the style of the client, you know how to get the neckline. So after getting that, I'll be cutting out what I do not need. That is this up part. And if you want, as I said earlier, if you'll be needing a yoke, that part is relevant for you. But if not, it is not relevant. So I'm going ahead now to cut my darts, to cut all that I need, my necessary things that I need. Cutting it off. So I'm cutting the dart leg, the dart out of it. I'm trying to make sure I'm going to get a proper cup. Yeah, so that is for that part. So do not forget, please, the bust point is also needed. So I'm folding my bust point now. You can see I'm folding it now before I cut the other side of the cup. I've placed it down with my paper tape. Then I'll go ahead to blend again, because if you see now, it is not straight anymore. The curve do not rhyme anymore. So with my curve, I would blend them together to get what rhymes exactly. Can you see? It is just a little bit though, but now they rhyme. So when you folded your bust points, this is what happens. They do not blend well. So the same way you blend that part, you do well to blend for the shaping region as well. Yeah. So my cup is ready. This is the first part, and this is the other part. That's the center front, and this is the side one and two. So that is it. So now this is the cup. I will go ahead to shape it. I didn't draw the shaping in the video. This is the cup in two. So sometimes you might want it to be three, and you could go ahead to get that line. It is not that easy. It doesn't mean you just draw this line alone. There is more to it. Just a little bit technicality involved, in which in my next video I'll be showing us how we can cut a three-piece corset, this part and the other side. So there I will emphasize more on how we can show the different, how we can get this part perfectly. But this is just a little bit a sneak peek of what will be needed for that. So once you get this done, your cup, you're good to go for the front. Now I'll go ahead to get my back measurement. So this is one and this is two. Remember, if I did that complete one, it will be one, two, three. So this is it. Now my back measurement. For the back as well, as we mentioned before, it is just as you use the standard for the front. The same applies to the back, the standard. You have your zip line, you have your neckline. I used 3 by 1 as well for my back, though I would not be needing that shoulder part, but I just did it here. I need my shoulder slope, which I did, the armhole, and the rest. Now, the length at which I want for the back is what I measured. My back is just very short, and that is what I measured here. So short. See the distance? Yes. Remember, because it is back, so I connected it from my half length. Because it is Basque, from my half length, which the front ends, is where the back continues from. So I'll also be cutting off the shoulder to the chest line because I do not need it. So I need it from my chest line region, that is from my 8 inches for the chest line to the half length that I need, which you can see here. And I'll be folding the zip line because I do not need the zip line. I'm not sewing it with a zip, but rather a rope. So I'll be folding the zip line, which I just did here. And after folding the zip line, the next thing which I'm doing is to cut out the inches of what I need to do. I'm cutting out the inches of what I need to do. I was thinking of cutting out them 2.5 inches, and that is why you see me draw the line. 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches to the right and 2.5 inches to the left would give 5 inches, in which I am taking off my back measurement. So with my rope, once I connect my rope to them, give a spacing at my back. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the next is for me to get my shapings. Yeah, I'm getting my shapings. So I've connected from my bust to the half length. So Unless I forget, I actually forgot to put my dart. Chai. I'm so sorry about that. I forgot to draw put my darts, which I am going to do now. I'm putting my darts. Sorry about that. It escaped my mind really. Thank God I remembered. So I'll be putting my darts now. So for my back dart, I decided to use 0.75 to the left and 0.75 to the right. That is 1.5 inches for that difference. Now, because I just remembered my dart intake, after doing my dart intake, I've come to see that the 2.5 inches I put, I do not want it. I want it to come out a little bit. So just as I said, anyhow you want your back to be is fine. If you still want it that way, fine. For some persons, they might, from that dart leg itself, from the bust distance itself, remove it, decide to not dart the back by giving a very big spacing. And since I am putting a dart, I feel that one is too big. So I've descended by 1 inch alone. So at least there'll be a little bit spacing. So this is the current distance I'll be leaving now for the rope. And this part is my back. This is what I do not need. It happens to be 1.75 inches now. So this is me cutting my dart away from my paper. So this is my back. So I'll be marking it one, my back one, and then my back two. So this is what I need. I'll be placing them now on my fabric. I do not need those other ones. I'll be placing them back on my fabric, and you're good to go. As you can see, it is so easy to make and to cut. There's really nothing hard about it. It's me. I've already placed it on my fabric and I have cut. Take notes, I added allowances, the sewing allowance for these parts, as you can see in the inches everywhere, the up part, the down, the cupped side, and you see. So I added sewing allowances for all of them. So sometimes this is the mistake that some of us make. We forget to add our sewing allowance to this part. So by the time we make it, we realize that our measurement is now smaller. So please do not forget to do that. Add your sewing allowance to what you need as well, which I have done here. I've done that for my front and for my back. So I'll be going ahead to add my interfacing to the fabric, and I'll be cutting my lining. I'll be adding interfacing to it as well. It's optional for the lining, actually depends on how you want it, but for me, I would just love to put interfacing for both the lining and the fabric. So this is the result of that. I have put interfacing in the lining and in my fabric, and then just one layer of wadding is what I added for the cup. One layer of wadding is what I added for the cup. So this is the result now. I ironed it. So the next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and sew the cup together. Yeah, so you see, go ahead and sew the cup with the allowance I added, that is half an inch. So I'll follow the circle, the cupped parts. They would rhyme anyway. I'll make sure they rhyme before sewing. Yes, I've adjusted it now. Good. So that's what I will do for two sides. Then the same thing applies to the waist, to the main fabric itself. The same, these differences, I'll sew all of them with half an inch. The front, the back, everything will be sewn with half an inch. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and sew them and come back to show the results. So I have already done what I said I was going to do. I've joined the parts all together. Then I have put my bias to close the seam, the parts that I joined. I've joined everything together now. Joined the main bodies, and then I've joined the cup to it as well. Everything I did was half an inch. Then I notched the cup line, the parts of the seam after sewing the cup, and ironed it. But it's obvious I didn't iron it smooth enough, so I'll be going back to iron it smooth before attaching the lining. So what I did for the main fabric is what I also did for my lining. So this is the front here as a result after joining my lining. So the next thing is for me to do is to put my boning. Next thing is for me to do is to put my boning. So this is me trying to gauge what I need for my boning. As you can see, you do well to leave half an inch, as you see me do, just because of the sewing allowance for the base. You know, I've already sewn the top. So sometimes, not sometimes, so it is always important you sew at least the cup and this part before trying to attach your boning, so it wouldn't end up being too hard to do. So in this part that I haven't added, see me, I left half an inch there. The same thing, I'll be leaving half an inch for the base as well. So if the length I need is 20 inches, I'm just giving an instance. Don't cut your boning to be 20 inches exactly. You can cut it to be 19 inches. So this is for the shaped parts. You can add boning to the shaped part if you want. It's optional as well. Remember, I'm not exactly snatching my waist. I'm not snatching my waist completely. So I don't have to add boning to all those parts. Then for the for where you'll be putting your rope, yes, for this part, it's always good to put your boning there for weight to help stabilize the back part. So I'll be putting my boning in that part as well. And that's why I'm cutting it now. So I've gotten everything ready. You go ahead to burn your tip with your lighter. Some persons would use nail sharp what's it called? Is it that thing for trimming the nails? I'm sorry, I don't know what's called. I can't remember what's called rather. And persons would do it to make it smooth, to not make it sharp, so it don't choke you in your body. And some persons do well to add paper stay to cover it up. So anyone that works for you, you do it so as to cover the boning up to avoid injury. Your client's telling you the edge is choking me and the rest, you avoid it. So I'm going to be doing my shapings now and then adding my lining to the cloth, and then I'll be putting my boning as well. So I've gone ahead to do that as I mentioned. I've attached my boning and sewn my lining together. That's what I've done now, but I've not attached the boning for the last part, the region where I'll be joining my bias to, which I'll be showing us now. So I'll do well to give it a perfect sewing ironing, a very very top notch ironing to make everything smooth. But before then, you can see the results. You can see how it is looking neat. So the space added earlier, remember while we were cutting, that is what you can see here as the result. So with my bias, this is the outcome, how it will be when it is tied. So I'll be cutting 1.5 inches as the distance that I would, as the hole I would want my bias to be. You can make yours 1 inch, depends on how close you want it to be. If you want to give it a little bit gap. So I'm using my back. This is a 8 inches for the back, so I'll be dividing it. So this is what I'll do. Follow along with the gap I want to give, giving it 2 inches spacing so you can see. So with the 2 inches spacing, I have 5 places to put my loop. I have 5 places to put my loop. So sometimes I love doing this thing to help get an accurate result of what you need. I won't just cut and sew. So except you want it clustered. If you want it clustered, you give it more. You wouldn't give it a spacing as big as this. So if you do not want it clustered, I decided to use 2 inches. So this is the result of what I'll be doing. I'll be sewing it inside. As I showed you. So I'm cutting 10 of this bias. Then I'll be putting my boning and this as well. So this is just what you have to do for your proper finishing. I've already done mine. I used I used lighter to smoothing the edge of my own boning. As I said, anyone that works for you, you can do well to use it, but just make sure you do not have the exact rough edge for the boning because it tends to pierce their skin. So this is the result now. I've finished adding every little thing. I've put the boning and I've also done my bias for the loop. So see the result. It's so simple as I mentioned and it's neat to do. So you can try yours. It's not that hard to do. Just give it a try and you would see. Thank you very much for watching my channel. Do well to subscribe as I mentioned if you are new to watching my channel. Thank you so much. Much love. Bye.